Now, you know, the whole idea that God becomes a man. Okay. You see, the problem is this. If you have a piece of string, yeah, and the piece of string is in the shape of a square, yeah, let's say the square represents the attributes of God, right? I'm not saying that God is like a square, I'm just saying it represents. So the square, we replace infinite, eternal, self-sufficient, and we just, instead of all of those words, we just have a square, yeah? And the circle represents the qualities of a human being. Needy, temporary, finite, mortal. You know, we're born, we die, we forget, we need to eat, we need to breathe. So these are our, and let's say all of these, we forget those words and we just use it as a circle. Now, just theoretically, what we could do, perhaps, is we could get the piece of string and change the shape of the piece of string from a square to a circle. So perhaps you could make the square into a circle, and you could make the circle into a square. But what you can't do is make the square into a circle and it's still a square at the same time. Right? Something can't be blue and red and still be blue. You can't make blue red and it's still blue. The circle can't be made a square and still be a circle. But that's what they're trying to say. God became a man but was still God. Doesn't make any sense. It's an impossibility. And wait a minute, these Christians are telling everybody in the world that you're going to go to hell forever if you don't believe something impossible. God is telling us, according to their religion, if we don't believe something absolutely impossible, you'll go to hell forever. So I have to believe something impossible without any proof, because by definition, you can never prove an impossibility. How can you prove something impossible? You can't. So I have to believe something impossible without proof. It's simple. I'll tell you something. And this is what I always say to every Christian. I say, you're telling me that on the day of judgment, I stand in front of God, and God says to me, why didn't you believe that I became a man? I will say, how could I believe that you, Allah, the eternal, self-sufficient creator of the heavens and the earth, was a temporary, mortal, needy man? How could I believe such a thing? You are far above that. If God then puts me in hell forever, I will never feel for one moment of eternity that God has treated me fairly or justly. But if a Christian is asked by God, how could you say that I was equal, that this human being was me? This human being that ate my food, this human being that breathed my air, this human that depended upon me for his entire existence. You're saying that this human being was equal to me? If that person goes to hell forever, they will know that they deserve to be there. They will know it. That's justice. That is justice.